You ready for some NXT? You got 5 minutes? I'm going to tear through this quite quick because honestly there wasn't a lot to it. Again, I'm probably being unfair. Anyone who loves NXT, you might be thinking he's being unfair, and I'm thinking you've got bad taste in wrestling. So, there you go. So we started with Keith Lee, who I do enjoy actually, versus Cameron Grimes for the North American title. I'll be honest, what I did gain from this match was Cameron Grimes seems to be a pretty decent wrestler. I was getting behind him a little bit. It wasn't a straight up just, Keith Lee battering him, and considering the size difference, you could have expected it. Lee obviously took the win, but it was a pretty good match to watch. In terms of storyline, I don't know what they're going for with it, because they then pushed at the end of it towards Djokovic coming out and having a bit of a back and forth. So they're obviously building to that match at TakeOver Tampa Bay, but giving Grimes a strong show, and I'm not sure where that leaves him. He just seems to have well, there you go, that's you then, which is a bit of a shame. Now, am I right in saying, Carl, sorry, you haven't watched NXT this week?
I have not. I'm a right. terrible podcast host. It's like the second.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Carl. If you're gonna miss any, it's gonna be NXT. I'm cursed with watching it because we flipped a coin and I'm the one who reviews it. But it's one of them. I know you're an NXT guy from old. Do you know anything about this Cameron Grimes chap?
Not at all.
I don't know why I went very British with that. This chap, this fellow. He seems to be going for a bit of the cowboy gimmick. He actually doesn't look, without being disrespectful to him, he doesn't look much. But again, he seems, from what I can see of him, especially in that match against Keith Lee, he put on a good show, and he does seem to be a very good wrestler. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a good future there in WWE, to be fair. So if you're going to watch any part of it, I would recommend watching that first match. Then we moved on to Dakota Kai versus Mia Yim. Mia Yim took the win, basically, and it was a build-up with this. They had somebody called Gonzalez on the outside who attacked Mia afterwards. So again, it's another match, very much like the first one, where the match that you're watching isn't really what they're building to. That seems to be a thing with NXT. I don't know sort of whether that is the case, but certainly the ones I've seen, it's like, yeah, the match you're watching isn't what we're going for. There's actually some bad blood between these guys, and they're going to interfere, and this is going to happen. And it seems like shenanigans left and right, really. But again, another one. Do you know much of Dakota Kai or Mia Yim?
I mean, I've seen bits of them. Was this match meant to be like one of the eliminators for the takeover? I think they're doing a number one contenders thing, aren't they, for the women? Because obviously the title's getting defended at Mania. So was this an elimination for that, was it?
Now, I don't believe it was. We had a match later on with Tegan Knox that was for the ladder match. I could be wrong, but I didn't note anyone mentioning this was for that ladder match going into the number one contender.
Right, okay.
But we do have a match later on with Tegan Knox that is for that. This, from what I can see, was just a straightforward match with this interference from Gonzalez. I think they're pushing to a match maybe between them two at TakeOver. So I don't know if that, again, there's a bit of history there, a bit of bad blood. Let's build up another Ciampa and Gargano way, or a female one. But yeah, and just a little chuckle because it's something we called him accidentally the other week ourselves. The voiceover guy, or the announcer guy, mentioned Gargano turning up at the arena, and I'm confident he called him Tomato as well. Gargano, sorry, Tomato Ciampa. So that tickled me. Yeah, we moved on to Kushida versus Mendoza. Again, I only want to bring this match up because it's noteworthy, because Kushida, if I'm pronouncing it right, is fantastic to watch. I've never seen him in a match before, but he's very engaging. It's pretty much, it reminds me a little bit of when I first started watching matches with Rey Mysterio in, before obviously he became very samey. But yeah, it's just the technical ability out of Kushida is fascinating. Have you seen anything of him on either on the Indies or NXT?
I think I saw a little bit of him in New Japan. I don't
Nice.
really watch a lot of kind of Japanese wrestling and stuff, but I think I've seen some
Yeah.
of his stuff. So I think I've seen some of his stuff in New Japan. From what I remember of him, he was more of like a technical style with maybe like some submissions and stuff thrown in places. But it sounds like it reminds you a little bit of Ray. Is he a little bit more of a high flyer over in NXT?
Well, in a sense, it was almost like a combo of the two. It was very sort of technical, but I don't know, there was a lot of flair to it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So, like some of the reversals or some of the ways he got where he was going was just fantastic to watch. It was fascinating in some senses. So I wouldn't necessarily call him a high flyer, but it's more his sort of ability, this maneuverability around the ring is just is interesting visually.
Nice.
And then just a quick mention, for some reason Tyler Breeze was being interviewed, and he's looking mad different. I don't know if you remember him on SmackDown, but he's not got the long hair or anything anymore. So just a quick note on that. He was coming back to his home turf because something I probably should have mentioned earlier, NXT, while still having an audience, was actually filmed in the Performance Center this week due to obviously all this issue with the coronavirus. So they had a much smaller audience. But yeah, he was sort of there, not doing any sort of matches, but then took a bit of back and forth really from Austin Theory. And so I don't know if they're potentially leading to some sort of match there, but I've not seen Tyler Breeze in the ring for a while, so I'm not sure what they're going with that. Or whether he's in fact going back to NXT or sticking with SmackDown, or is he even still on SmackDown? I don't know.
I think he actually might have gone back down to NXT, which I think it could be good for him. Really, he was in NXT when I was kind of like peak watching it, with his his little selfie stick camera and his fucking fairy boots and stuff. I think in his later run in SmackDown, he was more with Fandango, wasn't he? With the fucking
Oh God, what were they? The Fashion Police.
yeah,
I forgot about that.
I think he was doing that kind of shtick. So I think if he goes back down to his his gorgeous or whatever his thing was back in the old NXT, then I think that's where he was. He was his best really, and the fans were really, he was really over when he was in NXT. So fingers crossed and fair play to him if he has gone back down there. And sounds like he'd be doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I think he's got a lot of potential still. He's not like old or anything yet. He's not getting to the point he's past it. He's not one of the young crowd, but it could be a good show. And I don't know if they're hopefully building to some sort of feud there. But it'd be nice to see him in the ring again because he's one of them people where I've not seen him in ages. But then you see him and go, oh yeah, what's he been? And it'd be quite nice to see him back in action. To be fair,
Yeah, definitely.
Charlotte thinks that she will in fact beat Rhea. So
No.
big revelations happening on NXT. Big revelations. But all joking aside, there was a little bit more to this one than happened on Raw, as Charlotte then sort of, there was a bit of a. I don't want to say Charlotte battered her, but basically that's what happened. There was there was a bit of back and forth, but Charlotte definitely got the better of her. She done like this. Sort of, I don't know if it's technically a figure four, but she's done like a bit of a leg lock on the ring post. And you go, when you go, are they going to suggest that Rhea's going into this with a bad knee now, or something? I don't know what they were going for with that, but she definitely got the upper hand. And I don't know if again that might just be pushing to. I'm a bit intrigued. I'll be honest now because it'd be interesting if Charlotte won in a sense because she's a Raw wrestler who's got the NXT women's title, but then it wouldn't help Rhea. So you imagine that they want Rhea to win it, but they certainly haven't made her look strong there at all. But maybe that's the point, that she's going to surprise everyone at Mania. I don't know, but there was a little bit more to it, but it was a bit more of the same as we saw on Raw, really.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then we had, I think I mentioned it briefly before, but we had Tegan Knox versus Purrazzo. Again, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Another woman. So obviously Tegan Knox and this Purrazzo did not answer. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. I wrote it down before and I was quite proud of myself. So Tegan Knox got the better of her. She's now going to be entering the ladder match. I think there's still a spot left potentially. So this ladder match is going to be done at NXT TakeOver to determine the number one contender for the women's title. Obviously, because no one on NXT can challenge for the women's title at TakeOver. So, they have to do something. Interesting having a ladders match. It'd probably be a good match to watch. I believe there's some good talent in there. So, fair enough. Tegan Knox is another one. I don't know her. They seem to be booking her as a fairly strong wrestler. She seemed, from the brief match I saw, she seemed all right. Do you have any history with Tegan?
No, none.
None. Right.
I think she's probably one of the women in the Rumble. I think that Purrazzo or Purrazzo, whatever it was as well. So I think I've probably seen them in little spots. Yeah. But no, I don't know much about them.
Right. This is probably where we fall down a little bit with NXT because they are newer talent coming in, so we don't get to know them very well. But they certainly seem to be booking a strong. So we'll see how that ladder match goes. So we had the Undisputed Era then coming out to the ring. They, I don't know, going to have a match maybe, something. And then Velveteen Dream's music hits. He comes out and he shoots on the fact that his interest was never in Roderick Strong. Obviously, he just knew how to get under his skin, but what he's after is a title shot. But obviously, Adam Cole's saying, no, you don't deserve one because, well, I said so, basically. And then, by all accounts, we're going to have some sort of celebration next week because Cole is going to be the longest reigning NXT champion ever as of next week. So I imagine they're going to build onto that a bit further then and have the Velveteen Dream interrupt or do something there to provoke the inevitable match at TakeOver Tampa. But again, nothing wrong with it. Good promo, good back and forth between the two. Dream he's definitely got the mic skills. He's a talented fella. I can see him making his jump to the main roster soon enough. And then it moved on to a tag match with the Broserweights that had Riley, whomever. Do you know the rest of Riley's name? And we had Bobby Fish and the other guy.
It's something O'Reilly, is it?
Is it O'Reilly?
Kyle O'Reilly?
Maybe.
It's Kyle O'Reilly.
You know the other guy in that faction, that guy. They had him and Bobby Fish up against the Broserweights, and would you believe the Broserweights win? It was actually for the titles as well, which is interesting. But so they've successfully defended their titles, and I still find it weird that he doesn't wear shoes, Like, mainly because it's like you're in a match with him, right? You're up against Riddle and you go, he's not wearing shoes. And no one thinks, I'm going to stamp on his foot. Wouldn't that be the obvious thing to do? And again, correct me if I'm wrong. I've yet to see it. It might have happened. I don't know. But it's kind of weird. It's obviously part of the whole surfer thing, isn't it? But you wouldn't think it'd be a very efficient way of wrestling. I digress slightly. And then we end NXT, Carl. We end it with Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano. So, they're not getting along, and they are going to have a match. But before that, they have basically, and I don't want to be too unfair to it. I just don't really have much interest in those two. But there was a massive backstage brawl with them. There was a lot of good spots. They were fighting in the gym of the performance center. Smash mirrors everywhere, weights being thrown and stuff. So there's some big spots. He kicked them through the barricades at one point and all sorts. So it was very interesting. It was good to see. If you're behind this feud, I'm sure it was fantastic. But I don't know. I'm just have your match and then call it a day, guys.
I think for me, it's they've had a few of these now, and I think probably the reason why it feels so flat is it's always been better when Tomato is the bad guy, because Gargano plays such a, a lovable kind of babyface character, the underdog and stuff, and for them to do like a role reversal of that, just doesn't make any sense, especially when you look at the history of what's happened between them, where, Tomatoes absolutely fucking nearly ended Gargano's career several times, as the bad guy. So, like, I know I didn't watch it this week, but I would struggle to have sympathy for Gargano as a good guy. Tomato as a good guy.
It's funny you say that, because that surprisingly is sort of how they're booking Gargano's motivation. He even shoots on this saying, like, he's come back after an absence and he's all daddy's home and the crowd are getting behind him, unjustified. Why? And, half of his moaning is the fact that why are you suddenly behind him now? So it's almost like even he's going, well, why is he not a heel? What the fuck? Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But so it's interesting you say that, because it does feel like the roles are reversed in the wrong way. But it's almost like, as I say, Gargano's acknowledging that as to the reason why he's a bit pissed off.
Mm.
But again, it was a decent end. One thing I never like with these things, and again, you can correct me if you disagree, because we've seen it before on the main roster, so I'm not just blaming NXT for this, but the fact that Tommaso and Gargano got more screen time than the actual NXT champion. And that feud. I find that strange. It's like, you're the top guy, but you're not. But just a little side note I wanted to mention, because I find that really strange when that happens.
That's an interesting one, that really. Especially if Adam Cole's going on to be like the longest reigning champ and stuff.
Yeah, he might get a bit more screen time next week, because he's apparently going to have a bit of a celebration. But if you compare the two sets, like, they closed the show out and I think they got nearly half an hour for that, with them closing the show, just battering each other backstage, which is weird because, like, again, in a kayfabe sense, no one booked for them to attack each other. So there should have been a match, surely, for the last half an hour. But no one acknowledges that bit. It's like, yeah, no, we were just going to have some quiet time, so it's a good job they fought each other, really. Anyway, overall, NXT, I'll give it a 3. It wasn't bad. It was probably better than Raw was, if I'm honest. But yeah, there was some of the booking decisions are strange, or some of the way they just like constantly like to go, well, don't worry about the match that's happening. Worry about what's gonna happen. This guy's gonna run in, or this match is. It seems to happen a lot with NXT, but not too bad. I'll give it a 3.
Okay.
This is a clip from our weekly podcast, A2theK WrestleTalk. The full show can be found on Spotify, Apple, Google, and pretty much anywhere else that you find your podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and we hope you enjoy.